What's going on, guys? I'm Waithe here, and in today's video it is 2025, so I thought we would just have a nice little catch up. I honestly have never planned a video in my life. I don't think I actually have. So today we're going to be talking about ADHD. So I just came up with that on the spot. I wasn't even going to talk about that, but you know what, why not? So if you've been following my channel for 10 plus years, you'll notice that I've done a different variety of videos, whether that's comedy skits, you know, it's rant videos, it's sit down collab videos, it's vlogs. I have done everything, you know, on my YouTube channel. And when I was younger, I sort of had this idea that, you know, being a YouTuber entailed all that, you know, it was just being a YouTuber. It wasn't something that I had outside of that. But once I stopped doing YouTube videos consistently, I realized non-stop my brain is nutty. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't stop thinking of things to do. Now I can relax, luckily, these days. I found a really easier way of grounding my life. But my gosh, I have a brain that constantly wants to do stuff. You know, whether it's my leg going up and down, telling me, you know, go do something now, or feeling guilty for not being productive in a day. Ever since I was in school, you know, I've been told I was a little bit disruptive. I was hyper, you know, I couldn't really focus on one thing. Chatty, talkative, the class clown, all of these sort of labels thrown about. But as you get older, you sort of just realise you have a bit of a special brain. Now, I don't like putting myself in a box because I've done really well for myself in my life, and I've been able to utilise my brain and do cool things that I've really enjoyed. And I feel like YouTube was a great way of channeling my energy into something productive. So I could make YouTube videos, you know, I could do skits, I was on Vine, I did Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you know, it's all there, all these different platforms. So I put a lot of my energy, whilst people were doing more traditional stuff, like going down the educational route or doing sports. And bear in mind, I did football prior to YouTube. I was able to channel my energy into making videos and content. And that was because I had to, basically, because I literally all day I'd think of something and then I'd do it. I'd think of an idea, then I'd do it. And I'd literally come up with skits on the spot. And that's why Vine was good, because I could pick up the phone, 6 seconds later, I am finished. Yeah. But yeah, I was finished. And then I'd post it online and I'd suddenly get loads of followers. And I was like, wow, this is something I could do. Then they closed down Vine, and then I could do it on Facebook, you know, and then it was the same thing there. Then on YouTube was a little bit more longer and cut up. But basically, to put it into words, I'm just riddled with ADHD. Now, some people might find it bad, because I can imagine how bad it would be if you're working, you know, a normal job. And I can't have a boss in my life. Like, I've never been able to work for someone. So being able to be my own boss, come up with my own schedule, has just been a life-changing experience. Like, I don't know anything other, because when I was 16, I pursued the sort of YouTube content creation career, and now it's the number one, you know, thing in the world. I'm gonna sneeze. Wow. Cool. Thank you. Not all amazing though, because where I'd be really good at content creation, I wouldn't be very good at holding up my relationship side of things. So I wouldn't be able to, you know, focus on having a girlfriend and also building a career on YouTube, because I just couldn't handle the two things when I was younger. So I sort of just sticked on YouTube. That's why I was single for so long. It's not that I couldn't find someone. It's more the fact that I literally wasn't looking. I had to focus on channeling my energy through being a maniac online. And I didn't want to spill that over to other things. So it kind of like, where you can excel in one thing, you sort of, I wouldn't say lack, but you sort of don't focus on something. So it seems a bit unbalanced. And as I grew older, I sort of realised, well, I can't just keep making YouTube videos and content because I'm not actually growing. So it sort of made me regress in maturity. This is why you'll see quite a few YouTubers just are really immature and they're like pushing 30, because, you know, they have never really brought up their life bar to where their business bar is. And you have to go through really normal, like mundane things in life to mature you. You know, you can't get everything you want. You have to sit still and listen. You have to watch others do things instead of yourself. You have to let go of control. You have to be through losses and get back up, you know. There's a lot of things that you have to do to mature. You can't just mature and say, oh, I'm mature now. You can't, that's not how it works. You have to go through the machine of life, and then it molds you into who you're meant to be, like a ping pong, like ping pong, but also pinball machine. You're just getting absolutely smacked around until you realise, okay, I can handle this. So, but over as I hit like 25, you sort of reach your frontal lobe development, and that's when I first tried to give up alcohol, because up until that point, like, I'd be doing really well with, you know, YouTube views, and then I'd be really bad with taxes. Do you know what I mean? Or I'd make really good money on brand deals, I'd be really bad at saving. Do you know what I mean? Or I could drink lots of alcohol, but I can't remember any of it. There's always one extreme to the next, do you know what I mean? There's always one thing there. And I just felt like my life kept like seesawing, going back and forth and back and forth. And it felt like a loop. And that's why I quit drinking alcohol for 1 year. And then I tried to figure out what the hell was going on. And the only way I could actually realise what was going on, because, you know, wait lists for most things, I've never really been one to want to be put in a box. I mean, teachers always tried to put me in a box, and, you know, loads of people have always tried to say I'm something, you know, all this and that. And I don't want to listen to that, because I just want to sort of be able to navigate my life how I want to navigate it. And I also don't want any sort of pill to calm me down, you know. I don't want to be medicated or, you know, sort of, you know, dulled down. I really like my personality, and I really like having energy. I find it fun. I'm able to do things, you know, I'm a DIY king. I've got so much energy to do stuff, and I'd rather that than not have it. And I'd rather have my personality in my brain than not have that sort of spark. So I never really wanted to go down the NHS route and, you know, go down there. It's something that some people, if you're working normal jobs, I do recommend to sort of maybe get clarity through going down there. But I'm an artist. I can spread out my wings. You know, luckily I found an avenue when I was younger that worked out, and I've found my roots. You know, I've got a well-established life, business. Me and my partner do weddings, and alongside every single 8 arms that I'm doing something, where it's art, you know, everything else. So I feel like I've already achieved my life purpose, and I'm on a good line, so I don't need anything else to sort of numb that out. But the number one thing that helped me is because I was self-medicating really with alcohol instead of anything prescribed, you know. If I was feeling a bit too hyper, anxious, agitated, I'd just drink, you know. Like I would always say there's nothing that could calm me down better than a pint and a cigarette. And I used to live by that for ages, because the feeling of just having a pint and a cigarette soothed me out. And it's weird to look back on that, you know, being 3 years sober, that a pint and a cigarette is what I aspired to have. I didn't mind about, you know, having a Lamborghini. If I had a pint and a cigarette by the end of the day, I was sweet. But that went on for too long, you know. It's not good. Your lungs, you can't breathe, you know, you're coughing up phlegm, and your liver's hurting and everything else. And every single time you feel a little bit anxious, you're sort of going for that coping mechanism. And that for me just wasn't healthy. I knew I had to change. So that's why I'd sometimes stop. Something in my brain was telling me to stop. Then I'd try a week, and then it didn't work, and then I'd do a month, and then I'd go back, and then finally did a year. Then I went back on it, because I was like, you know what, maybe I'm being a bit too serious. Then I realised after that year, I was like, no, I need to just go straight ahead and just go and tackle the whole thing. But what happened is I realised in my life I'm just doing one extreme to the next. There was never really any grounding or middle line where I can just stay balanced. And it came down to a lot of self-acceptance, because I feel like when we have hyper brains and we feel a little bit outcasted and we feel a bit different to neurotypical people, you feel like you're a bit of an alien. And, you know, to fit in this country, the easiest way is to drink, or just to go to the pub and go out. Because I felt like if we were all drunk, no one's going to tell that I'm a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? So when I stopped drinking, I had to confront and realise and look back and be like, wow, okay, so that's why I am like I am, or like that's why that ended like that, or that's why I was just a bit angry in that scenario. And you have to forgive yourself for all of it. You know, you didn't understand your brain as much, and the world didn't really as well. I mean, you know, we didn't really think about men's mental health or mental health in general up until recently. And it's not something that you really took in. You don't, you thought you were either sad or not sad. You're looking for happiness all the time, but you don't think about all of these different things. And I just thought I was a nutcase because I was, obviously lots of views on YouTube and money and stuff. I thought that just turned me into a nutcase, until I realised when I didn't have any views and I didn't have any money, I was still a nutcase. I still enjoyed life. I still was going about, I was just, nothing external ever really can affect me, which is a great thing. But I found it a bit odd, what would make someone really stressed and anxious I can thrive in. I can, handle high pressure scenarios, but some people crumble. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, this is actually a superpower for me. And I think when you get all these sort of diagnoses and when you think about what you actually are, what your brain's like, etc., I think there's a lot of shame and confusion and anger that you didn't have this clarity before. But I sort of really enjoyed the ignorance is bliss stage. I sort of didn't want to feel like I was in a box, I sort of enjoyed the fact that I sort of winged life without any sort of reason to be like, oh, this is why I am like this. I just had fun. But as you get, like, I'm 29 now, and as you get into your 30s, you're sort of like, well, I've got to get my ducks all in a row now, because otherwise it can go bad. Like, if you don't sort out your finances, if you don't sort out your health, if you don't sort out your relationships, all of those sort of things, you can realise you're going to just stay behind, and the world and the systems aren't built to keep you, pushing slowly ahead. It will drag you all the way down, And a lot of people that struggle with real serious addictions, homelessness, do have a lot of ADHD. There's a lot of, people that are neurodiverse that are struggling, basically. And it's because of the lack of information, but also the longer you wait for clarity, the harder it is to reach peace when you get it. So you have to basically catch up a lot of things, you have to be able to really do catch up and reflect. And if you're in a normal job, it's hard to have time to think for yourself and have the energy to even care, So, so as I grew older, I sort of had to have breaks. I stopped YouTube for like 3 years. I had to stop making content for people and trends and algorithms, and it was doing my head in, because my head already does myself in already when I'm thinking all these ideas. But then I had to think about like numbers and metrics and, you've got to make contents this way, you've got to say certain things this way. And that does my bloody nuts in, still does today. Like the fact that you have to try and be something you're not to then appeal to something that will make you something. I was like, I'm not playing that game. And also to get brands and stuff, you have to act a certain way, not say a certain load of things. I was just bored of it, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be myself, and to be myself, I have to speak my truth. I can't be silenced or censored. I have to just say what I want to say. As long as it doesn't hurt people, I'm telling the truth. And that's exactly what I did, Like, I've still got a sesh in my arm, and I don't drink alcohol. I'm not removing my past. I'm just accepting it. So my biggest lesson is, if there's anyone out there that has ADHD or is on the spectrum in some sort of way, or if you're just a nightmare to yourself, try and get the basics done by giving yourself compassion. Don't beat yourself up thinking you're behind. Don't compare to people online or anyone else. Just really look at your life and take some time out to reflect. Maybe have one weekend off from drinking, self-soothing or self-medicating, and be like, what am I actually short in? Like, what am I actually not doing to help my future? And once you can get your future aligned with where you want to go, you can be a nutcase your whole life. Like I've got a steady cash flow, I've got a steady life, I've got a steady, I've bought a flat, and that was all because I actually stopped getting in my own way. I couldn't blame anyone else. Couldn't say it's because of them, it's because of them. I had to really take accountability. And it's only like 3-4 years you've got to put in to then have a lifetime of peace. It's honestly, I know it is a long time, but we put, 10 plus years in school, and some people don't even get a job after. We can put that much craft and dedication into school, but can't put 3 years into our own dreams. Do you know what I'm saying? So once you put all your love and energy, and you might not see results for like 3 years, but you will get there. You will honestly get there. It's going to be hard. It's going to be confusing. You're not going to get validated. Friends and family will ask, why are you doing this? Why are you following your passion? Just get the safe route, get the grades, do all this. But if you love what you're doing, you won't feel like you're working. And that's what people that have this sort of brain need, is you need to feel like you're not working for someone else. You don't need to work for, work hard for someone else's goals or dreams. You're working for your own dream. And take it from me, I've had millions of views, I've had lots of income coming in, and then I lost it all because I burnt out. I was reaching my pinnacle of trying to churn out stuff, and I lost the love for it. So I burnt out and quit, and literally in the industry I'm in, you get replaced. Another influencer comes up with ADHD and they've got more energy than you. They've got more passion and more love for all of this stuff and the brands and everything else, where I burnt out. So I left all of that behind and had to have a few years. I literally moved into a van, and me and my partner, we sold all our things from our house, and then moved around, the UK, and moved to Ibiza. And I just lived off the land, I just lived and just had a break from all the pressure of trying to make money and everything else. And I saw it as a really beneficial thing. I didn't even see it as like, I was homeless, or I didn't have money, or I didn't have followers, or da-da-da-da. I was like, I'm doing this for me. I just want to chill out on earth and just enjoy myself without having to have the pressure of social validation, And it's like a big FU to the systems and everything else, because I was like, I already know that I've done well in my life, and I just deserve like a pocket of freedom. So when I sold everything and we went in the van and went to Ibiza, I was writing away on my laptop and on my iPhone, and I ended up writing a book. Do you know what I mean? So what you might perceive as going backwards is actually going forwards, because I didn't realise that in that moment when I lost everything, I was gaining something better. So you can never really understand that in the moment when you're in the struggle, you don't really understand what it's going to lead to until you actually look back and go, wow, that was actually a blessing. Like, I've avoided all this YouTube boxing and all the TikTok drama. I'm more grounded in earth and nature now, because this is what I love. When you just are grateful for the small things, for the birds, for literally everything out there, it sounds really hippie, but I'm grateful for seeing things that are free. And now I've got money, I'm still really grateful for the things that are free. The money's just resources for security and safety. But I'm just so grateful for the free things now. And also I'm grateful for like running water. When I lived in a van, we didn't have running water. I'm grateful for plumbing, because we had to empty out our own shit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you've got to gain perspective, where some people might think they're rich because they're millionaires, they're actually poor in their spirit and soul. And you've got to be able to make the sacrifices happen, so you can then achieve the things that you want, but ultimately giving yourself fulfillment. So you can wake up every day happy and excited for what's to happen, and then go to bed at peace without your mind racing that you could have done this or should have said that, or why did you say this? You just accept the way things are, not the way you think they should be. Now, I know I've gone on a tangent, and this is what I mean. I didn't even expect to film this video. That's just how improvised I am in my life. But I hope this message sort of hits someone, if it resonates with you. And it's not a bad thing having a brain that's hyperactive. You just got to channel it into something good. And don't think of the capitalistic way of thinking where everything has to be monetized. Do things just to get by. Like you can have a job and then try and paint, do art. And if in the first year it's not working out, carry on just because you like doing it. You've got to, this world isn't fair, this world isn't easy. The only people who have it easy are Nepo babies who have lots of fucking cash straight up off the start, and they can just explore their hobbies without having to work. But that's not how life is. You just got to accept it. Don't be angry at them wasting your energy tweeting away like, oh, Brooklyn Beckham's a chef. Who cares? Let him be it. You got to work out if you want to be the chef or not. Do you know what I mean? Focus on your own life. Stop focusing on tearing people down, and just focus on what you can do. And if you do that, you will be so happy and grateful. But if you are looking to become sober, because I am free sober, as I always bang on about, I've got a page called One Less Pint on TikTok, which you can go and look at, because it's got thousands of people on there, massive community of people on a similar path. And a lot of them have ADHD as well. So it's a nice little community hub where we talk around there, and I offload more of my brain there, nice slideshows. But this year I really want to talk more. I want to talk about things that have popped up in my life and realizations that can help some people. And I'm excited to just carry on talking. So let me know in the comments if this is something you relate to, if there's any questions that you have, and I'll try and answer them. But I'm going to end it here before I go on a 2-hour long rant. But I will make sure to make more content very soon. All right, see you all in my next video. Peace out.